Hello, I'm Kevin Kelley. I'm the head football coach at Pulaski Academy in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is the fourth in a series of 5 DVDs on Bruin football. In this DVD, we're going to present onside kicking. We do a lot of different things at Pulaski Academy, and all in the efforts to win, and they're based on statistical numbers and information. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you through some of the reasons why we do what we do. I'm going to take you through what we do, hopefully advantages out of both, and even advantages when it's not successful. We try to look for positives in everything and say that something good comes out of everything. And hopefully when you get done with this, you'll see why we do that and maybe even begin to do some of it on your own. Onside kicking is something that many people do at the end of a game when they're down and they have to do it. Sometimes you stop and you think, well, if you're doing it when you have to because it's the only way to get the ball back, you know, others will stretch it into, well, if we catch them off guard in a surprise situation, maybe we will. We've gone a little bit further than that in what we've done. What we did was we took statistical information from a couple of years, and we started doing this a while back. So since we onside kick so much now, we don't have as much data to pick from. So we took the 2 years we were kicking the ball down the football field. We found that in our 2 years, our normal kickoff, we were giving the other teams the ball on the 33-yard line. So wherever we kicked it to, they were returning it to that point. And we started looking, we started thinking about onside kicking. In high school, you onside kick from the 40. And you've got to kick it to the 50 to even be able to have a chance to get the onside kick. And generally, when we had onside kicked, or we started looking at numbers, teams onside kick, the other team usually gets the ball on their own 47. So we saw a 14-yard difference, 33-yard line to the 47-yard line, and for a chance to get the ball. So am I willing to give up 14 yards to have a chance to get the ball? Well, one of the things we started doing was just ask yourself simple questions. And the first one is, if I said you will be guaranteed to get an onside kick once per game, would you onside kick every time you kicked off? Once per game, you're going to score a touchdown, kick your extra point, and then you're going to get the ball right back at the 50-yard line. Would it be worth giving the other team the ball at the 47 the rest of your kicks? To me, the answer is yes, it is. That's a turnover. That's a chance to score 14 points in a row. I mean, that's a lot. That's basically if you feel confident in your offense and you realize the benefits of and how your percentage chance to go up score touchdowns when you acquire the ball that way, it does increase because of psychology and the effect it has on the other team. You realize the benefits of this. So we've gone further and further into this. This says the 48-yard line. That's where we gave it to them after those 2 years. So 47, 48-yard line. Let's look at some advantages. The obvious advantage is the opportunity to gain possession of football. An onside kick, we view it just like a turnover. And it's a turnover we're going to get on their end of the field, actually, because we've got to get it past the 50-yard line. So if in football, coaches talk about turnovers, you know, offense, take care of the ball, quarterback, make good decisions, hang on to the football if you've got the ball in your hands as a running back or receiver, defense, get an interception, get a fumble. It's a game changer. It's all these things. If you look at statistics at every level of football, pro, college, and high school, what you'll learn is that the team that wins the turnover battle oftentimes wins the game. Well, if you could successfully master onside kicking, what you've done is increase your percentage chance to win that battle and, in effect, hopefully win the football game. It affects the opponent's preparation for overall game plan. We, at Pulaski Academy, we onside kick every kick where the game's in jeopardy. Okay, so you're talking from the starting kick until halftime. We're gonna onside kick. Everybody knows it, and what we've done is we've gotten really creative with it, and we put people in situations where they have to work on it. We'll change. We've now got formations. We treat it like it's an offense or a defense. We'll call a formation. We've got plays out of that formation on our kickoff. And our special teams coordinator, Coach DePriest, has done a really good job being creative with those. And all of our coaches have pitched in and do it. And our kids seem to get a lot of happiness out of it, I guess, for lack of a better term. But what we do affects the opponent's preparation. And what I mean by that is I started thinking about a few years ago. We were onside kicking. We were driving down the bus, and on the radio, one of our coaches was listening to headsets or something, and they were talking about on the radio, and they interviewed him right before the game, or a couple of hours before the game, and he said, you know, we spent 45 minutes to an hour a day working on their onside kicks because we were afraid we were going to lose the ball, you know, in that area, and that's like a turnover. And in high school, you've got a lot of time and in college too, you've got a lot of time that you're gonna practice. And if you're that worried about it and you spend that much time working on it, that's that much time you're not spending on your offense, your defense, your game plan, that kind of thing. That really made me start thinking about the extra advantages and benefits that we weren't even thinking about at first. So they do. And then they've got to decide, coaches have to decide, are we going to put our skill guys out there? Are we going to put our best defenders out there? That's going to give them one more thing to think about. That's going to increase their chance for injury. So coaches start thinking about all these things as well. The onside kick, what it does too is it lessens the chance of a big return. We've kicked hundreds of onside kicks in the last 9 years at Pulaski Academy. And, we haven't had a lot of kickoffs run back for touchdowns on us. I think it has happened once or twice. Teams that plan really well or somehow have gotten loose, but we've gotten far more of them, and it's been worth it. But it lessens the chance of a big return, because when teams are working for the preparation of recovering the onside kick, what they're not doing is working off on the kickoff return. They're not going to line up in their normal set, and if they do, it's to our advantage, but they're not going to line up in their normal set and be able to block us and do the things that a lot of teams prepare for in the return game. It's easy to install, 20 minutes per week. Literally, once the season starts, once our first game starts, we're generally spending about 20 minutes a week. We spend 0 time on it on a Monday practice getting ready for a Friday game. We'll spend 10 minutes on Tuesday. We'll spend 5 on Wednesday, and we break our practice schedule in 5 and 10 minute segments, and we'll spend 5 on Thursday. Every once in a while, if we feel like a team is really prepared for us the year before, or we haven't seen a team before, we might spend 30 minutes a week on it. 3 10-minute segments, something like that. But we spend 20 or 30 minutes a week, and other teams are spending 30 minutes a day, and I get that consistently. And again, so even when we don't recover an onside kick, it's benefiting us in the rest of the game planning for football, because other teams are having to think about it so much and spend some time doing it. And I'm quite sure they spend that much time in the staff room and the meeting rooms developing plans on how they're going to attack us in that area as well. So again, just less time coaches get to game plan for us. In the other 2 areas, the football game. Creates field position advantages later. And it does. When we onside kick every time, but there are times when we onside kick different ways, or we've had teams commit 11 guys to us before, and in that took to the onside kick and won't anybody put anybody back, and what they'll do is they're just hoping their back guys can sprint past the ball. In that instance, you can create real field position advantages. You can kick it deep, and their guys are going to go down. There's nobody blocking. You're either going to tackle them or they're going to dive on the ball and recover it. Some teams will put one guy deep because they want 10 up there. You can kick it away from him deep, and there's no return on it. They're just glad to get the ball, and oftentimes you'll get to pin them inside their own 20-yard line. They'll put 2 guys back there, and then you could just kick it deep, but there's no really good blocking scheme from having a 5-4-2 on the kickoff return team. So those all create field position advantages later on. And another great way is, say a team's a really good return team, and every year you see teams that you just do not want to kick it to that guy. They have an athlete back there that makes plays, and one of the things you do is you take that away from them, but what you're also doing is putting them in a position where they've got to decide, are they willing to leave their front 5 up there and run their 5-2-1-2 kick or kickoff return or whatever, and take a chance on you getting the onside kick as opposed to them returning one for a touchdown. Most of them aren't doing that, so you're taking one of their better players away. It adds creativity and enthusiasm by the staff and players. It's amazing. We get guys that want to be our onside kicker. They'll practice it during the summer after weights and this, that, and the other. And there's an enthusiasm, and they like it. And what we've really done is, I think, is incorporate a lot of our younger guys, a lot of guys that don't start for us on offense or defense. And we've put them in a position to, look, if you'll get out there and do what we say and be precise and be fighters, and then we'll put you on the kickoff team. And that makes your practices better, and there's a lot of benefits for that. But then we have our kids, and they'll be creative with it. They'll come up and say, hey, Coach, I thought I see these things that we can do in the kickoff game, and our staff that that they'll think of it on their own. We don't spend any time in meetings really thinking about much of it, but they'll be creative, and when they put something in, if a kid comes and brings something to you and they think about it a lot and you use it, the rest of the team just rallies around it. They want to make it work for that guy, and it's the same way for the staff. If somebody other than me or our special teams coach comes in with an idea. You know, it seems to catch a little fire and some enthusiasm. We've got a lot of different kind of kicks, and what I want to do is I want to show you some of those. I want to put them up here on the screen for you to look at them. And in the NFHS, the National Federation of High Schools, we're allowed a lot of leeway on the kickoff situation. I know not all schools. I think there's about 13 states that aren't allowed to do just about anything, but we're allowed to do a lot. But we do a lot of 4 on one side, 4 on the other for those schools that can't. But at the same time, there's still ways to be creative, even when that's not the case. But for the most part, you're allowed in high school to do what you want. We have a base set that we use in onside. We'll call it our ace formation, where we're 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, and 1 in the middle. And we'll shift, and we'll call it different formation. We'll run a trips form. Well, not trips. We'll quads or quintuples. We'll put 5 on one side. We'll put 4 on one side and the rest on the other. 3 on one side, the rest on the other. We'll do what we call super, where we line up outside the line up everybody, and we'll swing everybody over to one side. So we're putting them in motion, so to speak, and that's the beauty of kickoff. You know, in a scrimmage play, you're only allowed one person in motion without getting set. In kickoff, you're allowed to be able to do a lot of different things. So we do that. Onside left, a lot of times we just try to overload you. You know, we'll put guys on one side, enough guys on one side to see if you'll bring more guys over, and if you will, we'll kick it back the other way. We can audible when we kick and do different things. But as I show you the videos, you'll see these names. So I just wanted you to be familiar with these terms. Super is line up onside left and swing over. Like I said, we'll put 5 guys in motion. Super squib right, super onside left, and super copter middle. Copter as in helicopter. You'll see what I'm talking about when you see the kicks. This is just your basic onside left. And what we do is we try to manipulate the other team into doing something where we can outnumber them in one way or the other. But this is just our basic onside. Sometimes we'll have 2 kickers up there, and I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. But just to show you some of the kicks, here we swing some guys over. We'll kick the onside left. Notice these guys don't know whether to come over or not. Now all of a sudden we've got these guys outnumbered. So you go down there, and we do different things. Some of our kicks, we have all the guys are going after the football. Some of the kicks, we have walls where the guys are trying to take out the first 3 guys, and we'll number them off and things. And so we do it different ways. We attack it in different ways, and sometimes we'll have the wall and the gatherers behind them. This year we went with a Mission Impossible thing, and we gave guys, if you've ever, not Mission Impossible, I'm sorry, Top Gun thing, and we gave guys names like Goose and Maverick and Ice and things like that, and the kids get a kick out of it. So if you incorporate themes into it, and I know that sounds silly, they seem to do a better job when you give them a name, give them an assignment, and attach a name or a movie or something. And we actually watched Top Gun at the beginning of the year to get the kids familiar with those names, and they really, really loved it. And I think they do a much better job. And this is probably our best year of it. This is a long onside left. And what we did was we looked, and this particular team decided to spread us out across the field. They didn't know whether we're going to kick it over here, kick it towards the center, or kick it all the way over. Because we'll kick it to the short side, to the long side, to the between the hashes, from any point that we're lined up. And so that's what we had here. Now what we like to do here is, this is called our long onside left. And what we do is our aiming point is going to be outside this man on the first one outside the hash. And the farther the ball has to go before it gets to 10 yards, obviously, the longer it's going to take, the better chance we have of getting there before the ball does, which gives you an advantage. And you never know how the ball's going to hop. That's another advantage. So these guys don't either. So as you watch this one, it'll hop a couple times. And then notice this guy right here. You can't tell. All you know is it's coming end over end. You don't know if it's going to be the short hop or the long hop. He jumps, and the ball bounces probably 10 feet in the air. He misses it, and it's coming right towards him. And then this guy, it's going to go over his head too. All the way over his head, and there's our runner down the sideline. Notice we didn't, and he's so excited because we're in the 3rd round of a playoff game right there in the first quarter. So it's crucial to get that one early. You're going to see the same thing going back the other way. And I'm going to use both these. I'm going to use both these same kicks in a minute to make another point about something. But this is, again, this is onside to the right. We had already gotten that one. You guys come in, they line up the exact same way. I'm going to try it the other way. Our kicker knows his aim point. We're just kicking the top third of the football. And really you're kicking it, what this allows you to do, kick it from this hash to that hash, is kick it as hard as you can. Because if you kick it end over end, it's not going to go out of bounds. It's never going to make it that far. But it makes it spin to end over end better, and you get more action on the football. Again, ball hits inside the hash. Look at, goes over everybody's head. And then up and past. And again, there's our runner down the sideline. So that's the same game. Talk about DeMore. Now this team coming in, they had invoked the sportsmanship rule on 8 different teams this season, which means they had led by 35 or more at the half in our state. And we knew that we needed to make some plays to be able to get up on them early and put them in a situation they hadn't been in before. And getting those 2 onside kicks in the first half, you literally could see their emotions just tamed. You could see the air come out of the other team. And that's another thing. That's a psychological factor that these kind of things have on other teams. It really enable us to do well. This one's called the Super Squib, and what we do is we've got more guys we'll put our guys in motion, a la the Super. We'll do little things, and as you'll see on these videos, we'll do little things like mess with the ball, turn it around, do different things with it, just so the other team has to prepare for that too. For no other reason than that they have to prepare for that. And sometimes we'll do things with it, sometimes we won't. But this guy comes up, changes the ball around a little bit. We knew before this kick what we're doing. This was not an audible. But we're switching sides with both guys, making everybody think about it. You know, we kick it. We've only got 4 guys on this side of the ball. We've got more guys running at it. And what we're doing there is we're really, when we squib or we sky kick, we're just trying to pin them deep, okay? We either have a lead and we're not trying to get the ball back, or defensively we feel really good about something we've done and bad about our chances on that particular instance, or we want to set them up so maybe they'll move some guys back for our next onside kick. It's just like calling plays. And so this particular one, most of the time, these guys are trained all week long. When you get the football, just fall on it, because we're just glad to have it. You know, if they see us onside kicking. And believe me, as a coach that now does this, I guess maybe I'm terrified because we do it. I hate it when teams onside kick against us. And we get teams that fall into the doing what we do early in the game, because we onside, they onside, I guess. And I hate it when they do. I'd rather just kick it deep and let us have it down there without having to fight for the ball. So I know it's going to frustrate coaches. Super squib right. Notice we're going to have a young man go up again, mess with the ball, just to mess with them a little bit. Boom, and here we are. All we're doing is kicking the ball. We're trying to kick it hard through this front line with a chance for us to get the ball down here, because we know they've only got 1 guy back and he's chasing around back here. Worst case scenario is the young man's going to pick it up. He's either going to pick it up or fall on it. In this particular instance, he runs back and he's been so coached to just get the ball, get the ball. He didn't even pick it up or return it. He fell on the ball just happy to get it right there. So there's a benefit. The other benefit is that we've kicked it many times. We're just kicking a hard liner through here. We kick it at an angle instead of straight on, so it has multiple guys that it could hit. You know, you see NFL and college teams at the end of a half squib kick, and they'll kick it straight down the field. Well, I don't think they're trying to hit this guy, but if they would kick it at an angle, they would actually have a chance to hit one of these 2 guys or the 2 staggered behind him. And so we're just giving ourselves a better opportunity to do that. We almost hit that guy on the front right there. Another squib kick, different team. And it's amazing just to watch this team decided to go with 7 on the front. So we've seen 5 on the front. We've seen 6 on the front. Now we're seeing 7 on the front. And, you know, if they've got more guys on the front, that means they don't have anybody behind. And that's another good reason to super squib. And more chances to hit somebody on the front right here. Squib that one through. He can't field it. Coverage is there. Notice, no return blocking at all. So you don't have to worry about it. And that's one thing we were really, really worried about this particular team on, is they can return kickoffs for touchdowns. And they have a good return game, some fantastic speed back there. So we didn't want to give them a chance to do that. Well, when you onside kick and throw some of the stuff we do in, you know, you're definitely taking that out of the game. I'll show you one more super squib. And your kids will love working on these. Your kickers, you don't have to work on them in practice. They'll stay after without you even telling them to, because these guys are kind of a star, you know, and it ends up taking a life of its own. There's a nice little squib, hits off the guy, goes out of bounds. So they get on the 29-yard line. No worry of a return whatsoever. Here's one we like to do. We like to onside in the middle. And notice these guys are even ready and bunched up for it. We're bunched up. That's just one more set, one more formation we have to worry about. Well, on this particular one, we line up in the middle, make it look like we're going to onside middle, and then we spread out. Notice they spread out. Then we come back to the middle and do what we were going to do originally. So, you know, you can kind of bait people into doing what you want to. Notice they're bunched up. They're ready for it. And then we act like we're going to fake it. We audible out of it and then audible back into it. So we're audible just like you're running a play on offense. And then we come back right back to it. So that's something else. You know, you can be really creative. There's probably an exponential number of things you can do with these. Again, we like to overload. We noticed this team, I think it was the year before, had not moved when we motioned over. So they motion. So if they're not going to move when we motion over, now we noticed when we did line up a lot of guys on this side, they would move over. So we couldn't outnumber them. But what we noticed when we motioned them over, they didn't, because they didn't know if we were going to kick it back this way or come back over. So this is the way we could outnumber them. So that's what we tried to do right there. They did that kid made a good catch right there, but we had them outnumbered. You got them outnumbered, and you get a decent onside, you get a decent kick. You know, we think your percentage chances go up of getting those. So that's where we are. All right, super copter. Super, again, you know, mean we're going to motion somebody over. Copter, we actually take the football and lay it flat on the ground. And we put it up against the edge of the tee, and we kick the top of the ball, actually the end of the ball, which would be the top if it was standing up, and make it spin on the ground like a helicopter. And two things happen. One, if these guys wait to see if it's going to go 10 yards and to field the football, the ball, it's like a curved ball in baseball. You're not quite sure where it's going to curve, but it makes a hook and comes back towards you. At the same time, when you spin the ball really hard, if you kick it hard and spin it like a helicopter, it's really hard to field, because you try to get down and field it like a ground ball, and the football will hit you, hit your hands or your knee, and it will kick straight out to the right or the left. So we're putting them in a position to field a ball, to do some, and once again, even if it doesn't work, other teams will work on this. So they kicked the ball like copter. That was not a good kick, but it's something else for them to think about. Even though it didn't particularly work in that instance, this team is having to prepare for this. The next teams that see us on film are having to prepare for this. He kicked it way too early. Obviously, we didn't have our guys up close enough to the line. So it is something that you can work on and get better at. That's for sure. By the end of the year, that was an early game. I think that was the first game of the year last year or year before. We got a lot better at it. You've seen a lot of kicks on turf. This is a kick on grass. I think we're going to do copter again. We play about half our games on turf, about half our games on grass, and we actually have found that sometimes it's even better the onside kicks are on turf than they are on grass, but more so than they are on turf. The turf nowadays is so soft for concussions and things, the ball doesn't bounce as good as it does even on grass. So for those of you looking thinking, well, y'all play a lot of games on turf and that kind of thing, that thinking kind of goes by the wayside from what we've learned. That was the copter kick. This kid's trying to field it. All I was trying to do is show that he couldn't field it. It hit his knee, spun off to the side. We didn't do a very good job there, but spun off to the side and gave us a chance for it. I think we may replace that guy, as a matter of fact. Super copter middle again. Now this is this team is Greenwood, Arkansas. They have dominated Arkansas at the 5A level for a long time. They've won probably, I'm going to guess, 6 state championships in the last 10 or 11 years at that level. They beat us in one of them, 56-55. So in 06, we played in the state championship game, and they beat us 56-55. May have been one of the higher scoring state championship games in our state's history. And then the next year, they come and they beat us 57-50 in the quarterfinals, and they go on to win a state championship. Well, this year, this particular year, this was '08, and we ended up winning the state championship this year. We had to face them in the semifinals at their place. They hadn't lost at home in since 2000 in the month of November or something crazy like that. And we really wanted to start the game off with a turnover. It's one of the best coach teams I think that you'll see in high school. And so, we put a lot of pressure on our kid this week and said, hey, practice after practice yourself and kick these balls, get this thing down. So we run super copter, the ball's spinning hard. Guy tries to field it, bounces off, and you'll see you'll see when we replay it how far the ball hits off this young man and spins out. And then what you want at that point is what we call a 50-50 ball. You want a 50-50 shot at doing it. If you've got a 50-50 shot at getting an onside kick, you're going to do it every time. And so that's what happened here. So here we are playing the #1 team in the state at their place where they haven't lost. First kickoff of the football game, and watch the emotion on the sidelines after you watch the kick. There it is, first touch right there. First touch, almost on top of the logo in the middle of the field, about 6 yards inside the hash. And then the ball hits hard, and I told you that spin. It spins out. It's about 7 or 8 yards outside the hash. You're talking about a 15-yard ricochet. That turns into a 50-50 ball. If you look on the sidelines, all the emotion there, all the emotion here, the psychology of the game changed right there at the very beginning because they get the opening kickoff, but now we get the ball on their side of the 50. So it's automatic turnover, and in the second half, we're receiving the kick. So you couldn't ask for much more than that in a way to start the football game. And this is a team that knew it was coming. You could see by the way they were lined up, they knew it was coming. But if you, with anything, if you execute it, you've got a good chance of doing what you need to do to make that play. Super copter middle again. This is obviously after a penalty, so we get to move it up and do it on the 50. If you ever get a penalty and get to move the ball up to the 50-yard line or a 15-yard unsportsmanlike line after a touchdown and get to move to their 45, there's no reason not to onside kick because of the place where you're going to give them the ball. That was a good kick. That kid just jumped on the ball and it kind of floated around underneath him. He did a good job of trapping the football. But once again, you're seeing one of our favorites at that time was what we call the super and motion the guys over and things like that. We call one of our kicks the NFL kick. And the NFL onside is the one where you see constantly in the NFL where they strike the ball, the kicker kicks down on the ball, and it strikes the turf and pops way up in the air. If you can get it to do that and get it in a short distance, it's a 50-50 kick almost. Double NFL, what we'll do is we'll have a balanced formation with 2 kickers. We'll have 2 kickers standing there that can kick the ball. One of them is going to be better than the other one, obviously, but they can both do it decently. And we'll look and see where we have a numbers advantage. If we've got a numbers advantage on your right, we'll do it that way. If we've got one on the left, we'll do it that way. If you split apart and there's a void in the middle, we'll onside kick. We'll NFL it in the middle. We want to pop it, bounce it up in the air, let our guys run underneath it, wall out, and have some guys in the back gather it. But we like being able to do it both. The NFL onside left is our go-to kick. Just really because our kicker prefers to kick it that way with his plant foot to the left of the 40-yard line for whatever reason, and he kicks a better kick that way. And that's what you'll find. You've got a go-to player. You've got a go-to play on 4th and short or 3rd and short or whatever, and we've got a go-to kick. And we don't plan on that being our go-to kick, but we'll go throughout the year, and our kicks may change a little bit. But the one that we've had the most successful attempts on, we'll call that our go-to kick. And at the same time, we know the psychology of our kids is high on that one as well. They think when we do that kick, and we'll preach it to them, hey, that's our go-to kick. That's the one and we feel like if they've got more confidence, that's going to help. All this stuff, if you just do a ton of stuff, we hope that somehow it makes us a difference somewhere. There's our double NFL. We have 2 kickers. And as you'll see right there, what we're trying to do is pop the ball up in the air, get the 50-50 ball, and then let me show you the very beginning of this again so you can see the ball. The way you tilt the ball has more of an effect than the actual kick itself. People kind of underestimate that a little bit. But if you can get the ball, most kickers like the ball teed up with the ball leaning towards them on the NFL kick that we call it, where the ball you want it to bounce really high, you actually want the ball tilted away from you. But when he kicks it, notice the ball, how high in the air. All we're wanting it to do there is give us a chance to get down here and make contact before or immediately upon reception of the football, which is what we do right there. There's our two guys. We've got, different. We actually number them off, and different guys are trying to take out different guys. They only had two guys to come up and catch the kick. Those two guys were assigned to those two, and they take them off, and boom, now you've got the ball trickling out. So they're trying to catch a ball almost like a punt at the same time getting struck by somebody, and really, that's just a difficult thing to do. Ball's out, and here we are with our 50-50 ball again. And that's all we can ask for, is that 50-50 ball. And that's against a really good team. I think they won the state championship in the higher classification there. Here's another double NFL with two kickers. Literally, either one of these two kids can kick this NFL onside, and we can do it to this side, we can do it to the middle, or we can do it over here. And the beauty of this kick is you can kick it from the hash, because it doesn't have to travel a great distance to allow your guys get time to come down. You're counting on your time to come down and make contact from the ball popping up in the air. So we're pretty balanced on this one. They're pretty balanced. I told you he likes to kick it to the the left, so that was our go-to kick this year. Notice the ball popping up in the air right there, and their kid makes a great play. Makes a great play. But then again, there's our benefits of them having to work on it. We know they spent some time. But watch the ball. I'll pause it so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it as it's going up and coming down in the air right there. And their kid jumps up and makes a great snag. But that was a fantastic kick and gave us plenty of time to get down under the ball and make a play. A little disappointed somebody didn't hit him right there when he was going after the football. Another double NFL kick. That same team we had a while ago went a different way. And that one we kind of halfway sneak attacked them on. Instead of kicking this one outside, we tried to kick this one to the hash. And you can directionally tell your guys what to do. We want an NFL onside. Hey, kick this to the left. Kick this one to the numbers. Kick this one to the hash. And he did a great job kicking it to those numbers. Here we are again, getting ready to field the ball. Here's the attackers assigned to him. Hit him, and he made a great catch. But again, we executed it like we wanted to, except for the ball coming out and having a chance to get the ball. There's another NFL left. Our two kickers up there. One acts like he's going to kick it. The other one's there. You don't know which one, so that keeps them spaced out. Gives us the numbers advantage down here. Ball hits the ground. It's up in the air. We got a 50-50 ball. And that's what again, that's all you can want, and you want to get half those. Ball strikes, hits, ball's up in the air, we get it. This is, we like being able to do this to the side, to the short side too, okay? And so we'll put the ball on the hash and then an NFL kick. And what I said earlier is shown here. We want it to go up in the air and give us a chance to run under it, wall out, and then come in behind with our gatherers and gather the football. Now, I'm going to show you some lingering effects that these kinds of things have as well. And I'm going to stop the video in just a second and show you some things. Okay. Now, as you're going into this, teams are going to prepare, and they're going to look, and a coach has to say, okay, you guys are going to be on the front. Well, number one, the game of football is a tough sport, and I feel like I'm a halfway tough person. I don't want to be these two guys. I'm just telling you. I don't want to be these two guys. And, these are skilled guys that they need. And these are guys that we've trained to go down and take you out. If you're going to try to get the ball away from us, we want you to be able to pay for that a little bit. We're going to do it clean, but we're going to be tough football players. And so what you're going to see is just this guy just gets annihilated, and the ball rolls off of him. Now, here's what you'll see. The amazing part is this football team is a good football team. Their coach coached in college. Now he's back down in high school finishing out his career. This is a good, well-coached team, well-minded team. This will show you guys don't always want to be a part of this. If you watch, balls on the ground, I'm content to watch, and that's kind of the mentality you get, and I kind of don't blame them, to be real honest with you. There's times when I kind of feel sorry for the other team in a lot of respects. But if you'll look, boom, hit here. Some guys just want to watch. You know, we come up with a football. There it is, the emotion again. And then I'll show you another one. What you do is you cause other teams also to question each other. If you'll watch a couple of kids up here, they kind of get mad at their teammates, point a little bit. Right there, getting a little mad, yelling at his teammates. And that's what you want. Create some confusion, some mystery, some question your own teammates. Just another mental aspect of the game. You don't want somebody walking back and questioning your quarterback, why are you throwing that ball? You worry about that as a coach. You don't want your team asking that question. Well, he's asking those guys in that situation. NFL lefts, it is our go-to kick. We were down playing a team in Southern Arkansas, really good school. They ended up going to the finals this year. It was a couple years ago, and we were down 30-10 with a minute left in the third quarter, and you know things weren't looking so good. And this was a team, we had one returning starter on offense, 2 on defense. This is like game 5 of the season, and we had actually lost 2 in a row. We were 2-2 coming into this, down 30-10. We fought our way back, down 20 with 13 minutes left in the game. We fought our way back, and we were down by a touchdown. It was 30-23. We had scored 2 touchdowns, got some onside kicks. Now there's like 3 minutes left. We felt like we had to get this ball. And so you come in and you go to your go-to kick. Well, you can see in this particular one, we brought everybody over here. If they happen to get it and run it back over there, we're just in trouble. There's our onside. There's our wall. Here's our gatherers. Ball bounces out. 50-50 ball. 50-50 shot. If you'd have told me with 13 minutes left, down 30-10, that we'd have a 50-50 chance to have the ball, the chance to tie it up at the end of the game, I'd have taken it. Guarantee I'd have taken it. And, you know, we got the football back. We go down, we score, we tie it up. Subsequently, they actually got the ball in a tie situation and in a tie game, and through an interception, we go down and score, and we won the football game. We ended up winning 40-30. So we scored 30 points in the last 13 minutes, and largely because, talk about deflated, the easiest drive we had was this last one. By far and away, the air had come out of that team, and psychologically it just took a toll on them. And notice how excited our guys are. If you look at their guys, you can see how it affects them. And that was probably the easiest drive we had in the whole football game, when really it should have been the hardest because it was the most stressful. We're still down. You know, if you could have told them, hey, you guys will be up 7 with 3 minutes left in the game, I think they'd have taken it. But now we're down 7. We're actually the ones that are excited. You know, we're actually the ones thinking we've got this because of the psychology of that kickoff right there. Another onside kick you're going to see in a minute. You don't see teams do it very often anymore. You might have, if you're an NFL fan, I'm a huge NFL fan, you might have seen Doug Flutie drop kick one through the uprights a couple of years ago for the New England Patriots. But you can drop kick on a kickoff. Very clearly, specifically states that in the rule book. And I actually got called a couple calls this year on a kick. I'll show you later. We did a drop kick. Calling is that in the rules or not? And it was obviously determined that it was. But it's just one more kick that if you get it, I'll tell you the advantage, disadvantage in a minute. If you get it, that's great. If you don't, that's another thing the other team is practicing on. They'll have coaches out there trying to drop kick, getting ready to simulate it in practice. They'll have players trying to simulate it and those kinds of things. And you can do it once every 5 games. And they'll work on it. They'll see it and they'll work on it. So it works out good. With drop kick, the beauty of drop kick is we came up with lizard, monkey, raven to call it out. Drop kick, you don't have to have your kicker turn around and change directions. You know, if you've got the ball there and you've only got one kicker, and he's lined up to kick it to the right, and you want to audible and kick it to the left, he's going to have to swing his whole body around the tee and kick it to the left. With the drop kick, you're holding the ball in your hand, so literally you just turn and kick it real quick. So you can get a numbers advantage really easy. Now, you can't get the same action on the football. You can't get it to necessarily hop up like you can the other ones, but you can get the outnumber advantage in that situation. The kicker audibles to numbers advantage. Literally, if anybody will work on it, anybody can kick it. We actually had our quarterback. I don't put him on anything because he's so valuable to us, but we actually had our quarterback learned to drop kick just so he could be the one, because he was good at audible, and anyway, he'd see a numbers advantage. He was used to seeing the defense, and so he would just quickly, lizard, monkey, raven, would swing our guys over or bring them together, and they knew which way we were going to kick it. And the other team doesn't, because literally you can hold the ball and you can just point to the left, point to the right, point to the middle, drop it and go. So they can't change their formation. So they're locked into a coverage, so to speak. Here's a sample. That's our quarterback. He's actually playing at. He's actually the starting quarterback at Kent State University right now, in Ohio. So if you haven't seen this, you probably haven't seen this in a long time. On a drop kick, notice the ball has to strike the ground. That's what a drop kick is. You know, some people look and think it looks like a punt. The ball has to strike the ground, and you have to kick it before it strikes the ground again. So it has to strike the ground, pop up, and I'll try to catch it right there. Strikes the ground, you kick it, now you've got an onside. And you can directionally kick it, you can change the direction of it. Doesn't take it, there's not a lot to it. It drops, it strikes the ground. In the old days, people would line up 10 guys to block for the extra point, snap the ball to the kicker. He would drop the ball, and you can kick it through the uprights that way. Really not as hard as you would think it is. But the drop kick has done a lot for us in that it's been just something else that other people had to prepare for. And, you know, we've gotten a couple of them. We haven't practiced. We haven't used those in the games as much. We just use those for people to prepare for them sometimes, and then if we think we can get a real advantage on them. Other kicks that we've got, we like to name them goofy stuff sometimes. Huddle middle, where you huddle up in the middle. Normal onside middle, where you huddle up everybody in the middle, and we know we're just going to kick a slow roller down the middle and try to take them out with the front wall and have our gatherers get in the back. Something we call bushai. We were big on the studying samurais and the discipline of samurais one year and all that kind of stuff, and we named one bushai, which is supposedly like a level above. We tried it once. It was a disaster, so I won't even show you video on that. Jelly roll. Jelly roll is the ball. We set the ball sideways on the ground, and for copter, we'll kick the end of a football. For the jelly roll, we'll kick the top as it's laying on the ground, and we'll kick it, try to make it go 12 yards. Now, what we'll do is we want it to roll slow enough so that the ball will, so that our defenders can go around the ball and beat it before it gets there. And so the object is to kick the football right here and let it roll forward. It'll roll slow and it'll roll straight. If it tends to teeter a little bit, that'll make it a little bit more difficult to recover. And then we're running past the ball because it's rolling slow, and we're trying to get there before it does clear a wall out and take it from there. Jelly roll left, as you break out to kick jelly roll, guys break out to the left, kickers hit hard left. We didn't, well, as of this writing, we hadn't tried that, but we did try it in the game, and it was, you know, it was successful. The ball has to go farther, so it allows you to get in front of the ball more. Here's huddle middle. This is the state championship game in 2008, and again, this team decided to go with 7 across, so what we decided to do was kick it in the center. They had guys all spread out. It was the very first kickoff of the state championship game. So if you'll remember a while ago, we were playing Greenwood. That was the same year. They had been dominating the landscape. We went there. We onside kicked to start the football game against the team that was in blue. Ended up winning that game at their place when they had beat us the 2 previous years in the playoffs and went on to win state championships. We beat them to go to this game. So the previous week we were there. We beat them to go to this game. We saw the psychology of how it affected that team. So we really, I will say this week, we really studied them and what they had done previously against onside kicks to determine what kick we really wanted to go with, and really worked on it a little bit more because we knew if we could get this, the psychological advantage that it had the previous week, and had given our guys, we wanted our guys feeling the same way and thinking the same thing. We got this first kick, we got this game. Not to mention, we knew we were going to get the ball to come out in the second half. So right there, we just kick the onside middle, wall it out, take them out, try to get the ball on the ground, 50-50 ball. We got the football to start the state championship game, which we went on to win, by the way, 35-32. Jelly roll, here's a sample of the jelly roll. The ball's turned, it's laid down. Just like I mentioned earlier, the football is laid down like this. We just simply kick the top of the football and it just rolls. And if we get a little wiggle on it, we think that's good. If not, we just hope it's going slow enough to try to pass it up. Notice, ball's here. We've had one player pass it and 3 more that are about to. Pass the ball, pass the ball, wall out, and here's our gatherers behind it. Just really the coaching point here is not the kick itself. This guy's going to do that on his own. But the coaching point here is make sure you don't touch the ball, obviously, before it goes 10 yards. And our guys do a good job. You see this guy waiting on it right there. And that's important. Again, here what do we have? All of a sudden we have a 50-50 ball. And that's what we're looking for. Here we are in the middle. We're kind of bunched up. I'm going to show you just a few more jelly rolls right here. This one wasn't nearly as good, but notice something kind of different. They've decided as a plan that their first row is going to take on our wall, and their second row is going to be the gatherers. This kid on this particular kick, he could fall on the ball because it's rolling pretty straight and slow. And he decided, he's going to do his job. His coach has told him to take out the front guys, and that's what he's going to do. And enables us. He takes out the front guy, ball rolls past. Now it's a 50-50 ball on the 50-yard line. And again, I told you that's our goal, is to get that situation and make it a free-for-all. So that's what we're trying to do. So sometimes people are trained to do things, and they kind of overlook common sense type things. That kid could have easily fallen the ball. Instead, he goes through and decides to go past the ball that's rolling slowly. He could have hit our guy, and it enables us to get the football. There's some field position advantages that I want you to really think about, or at least even if you don't think about them, know why we're doing what we're doing. When teams finally bring up all 11, and you'd be surprised, teams will bring up all 11 guys, and they'll have the second row, 7 or 8 yards from the first row, and I guess their thinking is if you kick the ball over their head, that we've got a 20-yard advantage on you, we're going to be able to chase it down before you do, but we're going to use all 11 if you're going to onside kick it. Or they'll put 10 up there and have one man in the middle, or put one man on the hash if you're pointing to that side, or if you have the ball on the hash, they'll go opposite of you. And what you can do then is now you can just kick it deep. So if you ever decide you don't want to onside kick and you do it consistently, now teams are going to play that and defend that, and you can kick it away from the deep guy and pin them deep and create a field position advantage for yourself. Even when you line up and kick off normally, the other teams have worked on onside. They'll line up for the onside. They're not going to have a return on. They're just not going to spend time running back in their lanes and lining up, cross-blocking, or the different things that teams do on kickoff. You're taking the ball out of sometimes their best athlete's hands. Most teams will put a really good athlete back there to field the ball. That kid's got a chance to score on a special teams and make a game-changing play. We're taking that out of their hand. We are giving up that field position, but we're taking that out of their hand. Know the rules for all kicks and about advancing the ball. And what I mean is, we showed you the drop kick. I think we didn't know that you could even drop kick the ball. We just read the rule book and start trying to find things that we can do differently in the kicking game. And that's something we came up with. Know the rules. There are things you can do that just haven't been done for a really long time, but that doesn't mean they're not beneficial to a game plan. This is the long onside kick I was showing you a while ago that I referenced. And what I want you to do is, you want your kids to know the rules. Okay, you definitely want them to know the rules. So we educate them on things. This is the long onside that takes a couple of hops, bounces over that kid, our kid gets it. We don't want our kid thinking that you can get that kick and run down the sideline. You can't do that. So we teach them the rules. Notice he catches it, has a clear path. He stops because he knows the rules. The reason you don't is, here's another kid coming over. If our kid does not know the rules and takes off running down the field with that ball, the refs couldn't blame this kid, and I couldn't blame this kid here if he went over and clocked the kid, taking a chance on injury, anything like that. So our kid knows the rule. Ball's ours, no injury chance, done with. Whereas if he wouldn't have and he runs down the field, this young man could have hit him, and really, if he's running with the football, I wouldn't have blamed this kid. I would have hit him too, because he probably didn't know the rule either. It's an obscure rule. So I would encourage you to know the rules about that. Know them about the drop kick. I would have never thought. I would have never thought that we would have had the same chance 2 times in a game to do that, where it looks like we could run for a touchdown. But again, same situation, same team, same game, same quarter. opposite side of the field, ball does the bounce over his head. There's our kid racing down. I mean, he's got a touchdown if that's the rule. It's not, and the other kid beside him could have really cleaned his clock if he would have taken the ball and taken off running, but he didn't do that. You know, he knew the rule. Immediately he stops, and when a kid tends to stop in a game, the other team will stop too because they either hear the whistle. You'll be surprised at how many referees don't know the obscure rules. And so you need to know the rules so you can explain to them the rules before the game. You know, we'll say, here's a kick we're going to do. Here's some things that have happened in the past. We want you to know, and I'll carry my rule book out there in case they question it. And you want them to know because, I mean, the rule book, to know it backwards and forwards is tough to do. And a lot of rules change and things like that. So we want them to know that. The drop kick, these referees didn't know the drop kick rule. You know, I told them before the game, we're going to drop. They said, no, you're not either. I had to whip out my rule book. I showed them, yes, you can drop kick. And they ended up having to let us drop kick the football. So we knew the rules, and the refs did. It wasn't that the other teams did. So you never can be too sure. And it's something that we wanted to do where, again, even if we don't get the kick, we want the next 3 teams that we play to work on that particular kick because we're going to come back with a different kind later. And we wanted the referees to be able to let us do that. And to be quite honest with you, I don't blame them. If I didn't think that was a rule, I wouldn't have let us do it either. But when you explain it to them and you can show them in the rule book, then, you know, it's something that they've got to let you do. Just a couple more onside kicks, then I've got kind of a neat thing at the end, hopefully, that you'll enjoy. Super, medium, right. Again, you guys have learned supers. We put everybody in motion. And all we're trying to do right here is onside kick it, medium, halfway between their back line and their person to gather it. Now, what you're going to be amazed. Football's neat because it's not round and it bounces funny ways. Ball goes down there and dies. This kid's trained, just get the ball back, dives on the ball on their 18-yard line. We've got field position, you know. So that's something else that can happen. This is a team that put nobody deep. They put nobody deep. They had their front line here. They had a line right behind them, nobody deep. Automatically, if we want to, we can audible to deep right. So we've already got super called. We leave that where our men all motion over. And notice we're still half and half on both sides of the ball. But then we audible to the kick it deep. They had nobody back there. Kid had to come from the middle all the way over and chase it. It's hard to catch coming from that angle. And, you know, they've got the ball on their 15-yard line. So there you go. Field position advantage simply because they're so scared of the onside kick. Who wouldn't want their the opposing team to start on the 14-yard line? Deep right. Again, this time we didn't have to audible. We saw how they were lined up. Had one guy back in the middle, I think. So we kick it high and deep where he's got to field the ball. He couldn't get to it. It bounces down. It's either, you know, if it goes out of bounds, hey, you know, so be it. They'll get on the 35-yard line. But when you look at the dynamics of it all, it's worth it. There are times when, you know, the funny thing is I was showing you the video a while ago where we won the game. When we were down on this team and we had the kick we had to have over here. This is the game we were down 30-10 with 13 minutes left in the game. We get ahead now and we score a touchdown and we don't want them to return it, right? We want to start them in their own territory. They're still scared of the onside kick. They are still worried, even though now we're ahead in the game and there's like a minute left, they're worried we're going to onside kick, so they still line up appropriately. So then what we can do is we can kick the ball out of bounds anytime we want if we're worried about a return and give them the ball on the 35. Now that sounds kind of crazy in one respect, but if the only way you think you're going to get beats with a return, then kick it out of bounds because they'll gladly take it there because they're scared you're going to onside kick it to them anyway and have a chance to get the football. And so that's another advantage it gives you. So we'll just line up and tell our guy just kick it out of bounds past the 35-yard line. We still put our guys over there just in case he misses. Boom, ball goes out of bounds, no chance for return. They've got less than a minute left from the 35. We'd rather have them there than with the possibility of a return. Before we conclude, what I'd like to tell you, earlier this year we played in one of the, I think maybe the third largest school in our state, and really good school, really well coached. The year before, they had they're a ground control team. We're a passing team mostly, but they're a ground control team. And what they had done year before they'd beat us 35-34, and one of the most respected coaches in the state, and I have a lot of respect for him. And what they had done successfully was hold the ball from us. They were ground and pound, and they run the dead tee and 2 tight ends, and really 3 yards and 4 yards and 3 yards. I think they had an 18-play drive. They had a 14-play drive, and they had actually onside kicked us the year before and gotten it and really changed the game, and they beat us 35-34. We go into this game at their place in the second game this year. We feel like we've got a good team. We know they beat us last year. And so we did not want to give them the opportunity to return the kickoff, but what we were trying to do is get the ball and not let them have it. But even if we did give it to them, at least give it to them on the 50-yard line so they couldn't run 21 plays for 80 yards and march the ball down the field. If they're going to score, they're going to have to do it in 50 yards instead of 80 yards. And you may have seen this. This is the first kick of the game, the opening kick. Here we are. We kick the NFL onside. We have our front line taking them out. The ball's on the ground. Our football. He gets up with the ball. And another coaching point is always have your guy give the ball to the referee. Sometimes they can't find out what's going on. They can't see the ball. And we've had it where the kid got up, threw the ball on the ground, ref didn't know who had gotten it, and gives the ball to the other team. So we always tell our guy to give the ball, whoever gets it, give the ball to the referee. Let him see that you are the one that recovered it. So, again, that was the first kickoff of the game. We get it, we go down, and we score a touchdown, so it's 7-0. Second kickoff of the game. So they won the toss, elected to receive. We kicked off and we got it. Second kick of the game. We onside middle this time. NFL, notice the ball is out of the screen. Here's the fielder. He's going to take him on. We've got our guys that walled them out. Boom, we hit him. As we go through, ball's on the ground. Here's our gatherers. Boom, our ball. We go down and score another touchdown. It's 14-0, and they won the toss and elected to receive. So here we go again. This time we go back to that one we had, the same one we had done earlier. Onside kick. Again, ball's up in the air. 50-50 ball. We get the football. We go down and we scored, and it was 21-0. They haven't even ran a play on offense yet. So talk about an advantage. And you're talking about, I mean, there's 10,000 people here, big stadium. They've got a fantastic facilities, field, jumbotron, the whole deal. Our kids are a little intimidated walking in. We're not intimidated anymore. So then we go, we kick. It's 21-0. They had won the toss. They had elected to receive. They still haven't touched the ball. Another onside kick. Notice how high it goes in the air. Here our front guys, wall guys taking them out. Get there exactly when the ball does. Here's the football. Getting hit while you're catching the ball 2 feet up in the air is a difficult thing to do. And they do. Ball comes out. We get the ball down there on the bottom. And what you'll see now, we go down and score. And it's 20, and we go for 2. And it's 29-0. They've won the toss, elected to receive, and have not run an offensive play. And there are 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first quarter. So 4 minutes and 45 seconds in, we got a 29-0 lead, and we've recovered 4 onside kicks. We're up 29-0 in a game that they won last year by 1 point, that some people predicted them to win, some people predicted us to win. And now all of a sudden it's the first quarter, 6 minutes in, and pretty much the game's over with. It is and it isn't. You know, you always worry as a coach, there's still a ton of time left, and it doesn't take much. But that's an advantage that I think you'll take any time. That story kind of took off. Yahoo picked it up. It was on the front page of Yahoo. A lot of people out there put negative comments, got confused on which team was who. It was on the front of CNN.com. ESPN ran a story on it. Somebody put it on YouTube. Got 1.6 million hits in like 12 hours. It was just crazy. But this was a team we respected, had a lot of respect for. They had beaten us, like I said, the previous year. We had to do something. We wanted to do something to get us off on the right foot. And really what I felt like is this propelled our guys into a higher state of football. They played the rest of the year with such confidence, and really, talk about believing in the onside kicks, did a fantastic job the rest of the year because they knew that it made a big difference in what they were doing. And like I say, a lot of these guys are not starters for us. These are guys that want to be a part of something, know they can be an integral part of what we're doing, and they'll get out there and do whatever they have to do. So, that was a team that we needed to beat. It got us going in the right direction. Second game of the year, it made all these kids, a lot of them don't even start for us. It made those guys feel good about what they were doing, and I felt like it got us in a mindset to tackle the rest of the year like we needed to, because this was a very good football team and the third largest team in our state. I think it was. As we conclude, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to have the opportunity to know what my email address is. It's kevin.kelley with an EY at pulaskiacademy.org. What I'd like you to be able to do is, if you have any questions or anything, we might even be able to trade some film with you or anything like that to see what we're doing. I'd like you to be able to do that, so that's why I put that up there. I'll even give you my phone number, let you call me if you shoot me an email. This concludes our DVD on onside kicks in a series of DVDs for Bruin football. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've at least learned why we do what we do and that we're not completely crazy. And if you decide that's something you might be interested in, just want to talk about some more intangibles or things we do, feel free to email me. I also would like to thank you for purchasing the DVD, and be sure to visit afmvideos.com for this one, more DVDs on Bruin football. My name is Coach Kevin Kelley, and I'm coach at Pulaski Academy, and thank you for watching.